Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney delivered a powerful address, issuing a massive challenge to UK journalists and sending shockwaves across the international landscape.
Conservatives say you are jetting around but getting nothing done. You've met with numerous leaders while you've been here, but you're not signing a new deal or announcing a new partnership. What have you achieved tangibly for Canadians during this trip?
Yeah, look, there's a couple of things, Jeremy. One is that, and I would look at what we've done over the course of the last 10 days in Mexico, in New York, in Ottawa, in London. Major trade deal with the fourth largest population economy in the world, Indonesia, a country that's on track to be the fifth largest economy in the world over the next 2 decades. The first major trade deal for that country with Canada. It's comprehensive, signed.
Carney's response showed a leader clearly defining Canada's role in a changing world. By pointing to real trade deals with the EU, Mexico, and Indonesia, he pushed back against the idea that his travels produced nothing, and showed that he was working to spread Canada's economic ties beyond just a few countries.
A deepening of the partnership with Mexico, a very specific set of objectives that are going to be, partnerships that are going to be tracked and built on over the course of next 3, 6, 9 months, consistent with the review of CUSMA with the United States, crucial. Prime Minister Starmer and I agreed a series of economic and security measures back in June. This meeting was designed to go through progress on those measures, make sure we're on track on everything from digital to agriculture, and that the defense cooperation and security cooperation arrangements are lining up, also to coordinate strategies on Ukraine, on the Middle East. The meetings in New York and here, and Ottawa for that matter, with the past, current, and future presidents of the European Union are necessary to help translate the agreements in June with the European Union, the framework agreements for opening up further market access in Europe, including in digital, and those defense partnerships which are crucial for driving our economy forward. That's to make sure that those agreements translate into the action and the detail there.
Absolutely spot on. Carney's warning about matching U.S. tariff threats with equal force signaled a rare willingness to confront Washington directly, especially ahead of the CUSMA review.
Prime Minister Catherine Cullen, host of CBC's The House. We may be in London, but I've got a question about the United States, sir. It's
That's fine.
Unescapable.
Yeah.
Why didn't you communicate to Canadians that you were fully dropping non-sectoral retaliatory tariffs? So not just CUSMA-compliant goods, but non-CUSMA-compliant goods. Also, if you have any thoughts about how Donald Trump's latest threats for tariffs on furniture and pharmaceuticals are likely to affect Canada.
The first question is a rounding error. The CUSMA compliant, no, come on. The CUSMA compliant is, for example, for Canada, it's more than 97% is CUSMA compliant. It's effectively the same thing. It's just more straightforward. We did it that way. The classes of goods, there are classes of goods where we did keep retaliatory tariffs on related to 232 tariffs, for example, on steel. And aspects of autos. We are one of very few countries that still have retaliatory tariffs on with the U.S. because in those areas we are engaged in negotiations.
Carney made it clear that his tariffs were not meant as retaliation, even with the U.S. piling on new sanctions. He presented them as protective measures designed to keep Canada's economy stable while tensions rose.
With respect to the announcements, form of announcements in the last 24 hours. As you know, but just to make clear, we haven't seen any of the detail of those announcements. There's no executive order. There's no formality yet around those announcements. So I hesitate to be too conclusive about what I say. I would note on pharmaceuticals that the vast majority, what the announcement suggested, the Truth Social post suggested, was with respect to patented pharmaceuticals. The vast majority of Canadian pharmaceutical exports to the United States are generic pharmaceuticals, so on the face of it, would not be affected by this. In addition, there was a distinction between companies that are building or plan to build plants in the United States, and many of the producers in Canada have operations in the United States. They're global companies, they have activities. So in both of those respects, the actual application of that pharmaceutical tariff, which admittedly is very high at 100%.
Carney's message suggested that he wanted to avoid an all-out trade fight with Washington, but he wasn't willing to let Canada be pushed around either. By calling the tariffs non-retaliatory, he tried to signal that Canada was acting responsibly while still defending its interests. He repeatedly emphasized that his priority was a stronger, more resilient Canadian economy. Even as the U.S. escalated sanctions, Carney kept pointing back to growth, stability, and the need to protect Canada's future.
Now, the world is undergoing a number of fundamental shifts that are challenging all of those premises. New technologies have brought distant threats to our doorstep. Power has become multipolar. Authoritarianism is resurgent, and consensus within many democracies has fractured. This is not a slow transition, it's a rupture. And the mission of our new government is to ensure that Canada will not just be able to endure the impact of these shifts, but to prosper through them. I just want to make a few comments before taking questions on our strategies and how Canada is approaching these missions. First, we're building on our strengths. We recognize that we have to take care of ourselves. We have to take care of each other. We can't control what other nations do, but we can control our own economic destiny. So we're charting that course to build Canada strong. We're building a stronger economy to create greater certainty and security for Canadians, to create conditions that empower people to find a good career, to put food on the table, to be able to buy their first home. And since forming government, we've moved quickly to begin to deliver on that promise.
On the domestic front, Carney's message was equally ambitious. He vowed to double the pace of home building, putting affordability at the heart of Canadian policy. In his UN remarks, he called this part of an industrial strategy to build resilience, create jobs, and invest in sectors that will drive future growth, from clean energy to quantum tech. This isn't empty campaign rhetoric. Carney's economic plan is tightly aligned with his foreign policy vision. By reducing dependence on volatile external markets, he argues, Canada can invest more boldly at home, in housing, infrastructure, and its skilled workforce.
In the first 4 months, we cut taxes on incomes for more than 22 million Canadians. We cut taxes on capital gains. We removed all federal barriers to interprovincial trade in a move towards one Canadian economy. We passed landmark legislation to fast-track major projects in energy, artificial intelligence, critical minerals, and trade infrastructure to new markets. We've launched Build Canada Homes to help double the pace of home building, building at a pace not seen in Canada since the end of the Second World War. Now, while in the UK, I've met with business and investment leaders to discuss new economic opportunities and partnerships as we look to attract capital to Canada and to empower Canadian workers with new, high-quality careers. My message to business leaders here in New York, throughout the world, is we have what the world wants. Canada is an energy superpower in clean and conventional energy. We're amongst the top 5 producers of the world's most important critical minerals. We're a leading developer of artificial intelligence, and we have the world's best talent in quantum and computer science. We have the resources that businesses need to thrive and compete in today's more volatile global economy. And the second point I emphasize is that we are a nation that is building with our values.
Carney's message was bold, his posture unflinching, and his ambition unmistakable. Canada will chart its own sovereign course. In doing so, he rattled the room and challenged the old assumptions that have underpinned Canada's foreign and domestic policy for decades.